Low Vision Moments meets romance. Let's get to some of the funny, awkward, and adorable ways Jennie Bovard has been navigating love affairs. Welcome, Jennie. We're so excited for the segment.
Jennie, but you and your husband have known each other for a very long time, though. Like, did you guys date for a bit before you got married?
We did. We met in high school and we kind of dated in high school, and I have no idea why he was interested in me. I was incredibly annoying to him, but he found it endearing. I used to sit behind him in media studies of all things, and
Nice.
there's a bit of a long story there. He moved away and broke my heart and made me cry, and then we reunited a little bit later on. But we have known each other for a really long time. And just to go back a little bit, I have run him off the road and sidewalks so many times because I really don't have peripheral vision either, especially when it's bright out. I'm forever like pushing him off the sidewalk and into traffic. But he's, he is so good at striking the balance between, let's acknowledge that this person I love can't see very well, can't see certain things, and that it's not a huge deal. Like, let's acknowledge that it's there, but maybe we can laugh about some of these things along the way. And I think one of the ways I knew that he was the one, that he was a keeper, was that not too long after we moved in together, I started having these low vision moments. Once you move in with someone, you can't fly under the radar. There's no. There's no cute excuse anymore. It's out in the open. So we're walking down a residential street in Vancouver one day. This is where we were living at the time. And I have always been an animal lover. So I point out to him across the street what I think is, oh, look at that fluffy dog. How cute, across the street.
Aww.
And he wasted no time, guys. Wasted zero time telling me that, in fact, was not a fluffy dog. I've told this story before, but it was, in fact, autumn. It was fall, and a lot of the leaves had fallen from the trees, and they started to die off. This was not a fluffy dog, my friends. This was a very dead bush. Just a bush.
Oh my gosh.
In my mind,
So relatable.
we fill in the blanks, right? So we're on this cute little walk, just moved in together, setting up our lives. And there it is out in the open. But we were able to have a good laugh about it. And again, it's kind of that balance of like, okay, like tell her what's really going on, but like not a huge deal. Let's also have a laugh.
But be gentle, as opposed to chasing tumbleweed if you were in Arizona.
My friend and I have many moments like this, not romantic, but I guess bromantic-ish, cismantic. Anyway, because we used to take walks when we lived in the same building around a specific area all the time. And then one time when we were walking, she's like, and there's that Tim Hortons. Both of us are low vision, by the way, just full disclosure. And she's like, and there's that Tim Hortons we used to go to when we used to hang out in this area before we moved together. And then a sighted person who was there that day, who was never around before that, goes, that used to be a Tim Hortons, not anymore. Now it's just a building. There's no sign. And then we're just like, awkward.
It's a good thing you didn't go in and start ordering donuts. Yeah,
exactly, because her and I could fool each other about pointing out whatever the heck we wanted, because we both can't verify.
Closed down donut shop. Now it's a shooting gallery. Oh.
Now it's no longer Timmy's, but that's why sighted people can't have them around all the time.
I have to tell you guys something else. Yeah. What's that?
I was going to say, it's so important to have that ability to communicate like you two do, but mostly to laugh about it, but also it sounds like he tries so hard to understand, because how do you explain to someone what you see?
Well, I think that the underlying theme here is awkward. I think everything we've discussed so far, there's been the twinge of awkward or embarrassing. And that's just life. Like, it's so natural to feel that stuff in the moment. And that's why I started talking about this stuff more freely later in life. And up until a certain point in life, it just wasn't something that I did. And I'll tell you something, my husband, my partner, Eve, you're handsome, you're beautiful, you're so good looking, but he is not very physically distinguished. Like, he's not easy to distinguish. He's not a distinguished looking individual. He kind of looks like a lot of other people, is what I'm trying to say. He's not easy to find out in public. And I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I get a little overconfident sometimes. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. I remember one time we went to a concert. We've been together a long time, but we still do what I would call dates quite a lot. We like to go out and see shows. And so we were out at a concert. We had parted ways for whatever reason. And I'm like, okay, I know what he's wearing. He's a tall guy. I'll find him. It's good. And usually he's pretty good at, finding me and giving me the old whistle. I know it's him. But I was so confident that this guy was him. He had the same color jacket on, green jacket, tall guy, concert full of people. That's definitely him. I go up to this man. I put my arm around his waist like I owned him. I was like, come here, sweetheart.
No. Oh my gosh, it wasn't just like a tap on the arm.
I nestled right in.
A grab.
He didn't care.
Like grab. No.
Oh no, not subtle. This man didn't seem to care, but I immediately knew the smell was wrong, the feel was wrong, and I backed up and I told we weren't married yet, but I told him right away.
The sniff test never lies.
No, I can relate to that. One time I had a date and my date texted me saying he was outside. So I was like, okay, bet. There were 2 cars outside. I went into
I know where this is going.
I thought it was right in front of my house. So I went into the car and I see 2 people making out and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
that is not the car.
My date brought a date.
Hopefully not the car.
No,
it was not the car. But it was so embarrassing because he didn't know that I had like low vision. So
right.
Like, yep, just walked into the wrong car, same color, whatever.
No.
He's like, why didn't you just look at the license plate? I'm like, yeah,
wow,
see that.
helpful
I would have
suggestion.
been on my knees behind every
Yeah,
car,
thank you.
but he didn't know. But like you said, Jenny, that comes part of like what Niz is saying. How long can you get away just kind of being? You guys are in that position where you have enough vision where, I don't need to mention that. Yeah, it's not really a big deal for me. So why would I make a big deal out of it? And then something like that happens. I mean, Nisreen, first date, okay, but yeah, they're even just a person thinking you can see more than maybe you can.
Well, that's the it can work both ways, right? Like you can disclose, but then it's still confusing for people if you have low vision.
It is, because they
and then
can't
also
understand.
you don't disclose because you think you've got it covered, right? Like I've definitely had, not necessarily for romantic reasons, but put myself in situations where like I've got it covered. I know where the bar is. I know where the washroom is. I know where my seat is. Okay, the lighting is perfect over here, so this is where I'm going to situate. I'm going to face this way, like, body language. I got this covered. And I think I've literally, put myself in a very successful position and then just like missed them, handing me a drink and then knocked it over. Right? So stuff like that where you just like the awkwardness or potentially even missing advances from people because you can't see them smiling at you, so you're just giving them back stink face the whole time, or you know what I mean?
I've said
like,
so many times that I've probably missed out on so many romantic opportunities in my life because of apparently people do this thing where they glance at each other from across the room. Right. Like, what is that?
And like shyly smile. What is that? I only know about that in books.
What about
I only read about these
expressions
things.
on your? What about the expressions on your face? You have no idea you're doing.
Oh,
I didn't think you were having a good time. You kind of had that sour look.
Kelly, that's part of how I knew Eve, my husband, was the one. When we really early on, still in high school, we were walking down the street. It was super bright. He's like, "You're so beautiful. And you'd be even more beautiful if you didn't squint so much." I was like, damn, I'm squinting? See, I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know to be conscious of those things. And it didn't make me self-conscious about it. It just made me aware that like, oh, maybe I'll put a hat on next time and I won't be squinting as much. But nobody understands what I can see better than my husband. And that's really one of the huge benefits, I think, of having a long-term loving partner. And he points things out to me in the world that I wouldn't know that I'm missing. And it's so meaningful. And sometimes it's just fun. We went to see ZZ Top, and guys, I did not know they had fuzzy guitars. They play furry, fuzzy guitars. And he told me, take out your monocular, take out your magnifier. These guys are playing fuzzy guitars and they're doing these wild dance moves with their hands. And I'm like, what? but he'll also take photos of like interesting insects. And, we have the technology to do that now in the moment. And I would never think to do that. Like, what do I care what a bee is doing? But then he shows me and explains it to me. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. Or he'll explain constellations and things like that, I don't really know that I'm missing. And it's such in a loving way. And it's just like giving me access to the world that I might not even have known was there.
And
so it's not all awkward,
context,
guys.
too. No, but those are not, and it's context that no one else would think to give you. Like like you said, he understands the most and understands also what you'd like. Niz, sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh no, I was just about to say, like, you really ask yourself, when is a really good time to tell the other person on a date that you have this, that. It always comes on a first date for me, and that kind of just, I don't want to say puts a bad impression on them, but like, it really makes them look bad of how they respond to me, and it's off-putting. So I was on a date once, and it was going well. It was like we were having so much fun, and then the question comes, why don't you drive? And then I was honest. I was telling them about my vision and whatever it is, and then he went quiet. It was so awkward afterwards. I was like, what happened? Like, we were having so much fun. And then he's like, well, I don't think I can handle this anymore.
Wow.
It's too stressful for me for what you're going through.
What did he think you were going to ask him to be a chauffeur, like you think, or just in general? I don't need to know all this. What else do I have to do? Because I think right away people go to that, and they're not necessarily that kind of person that's going to line up to advocate for you.
Yes.
Is that not a good test though of who you want?
It's such a good test.
Around
you brought
you.
it up
Yes,
as
certainly.
You felt like your partner was the one because of how he responds, how he is aware about what you have and advocating for you and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good test about. That's what I always did after that response. I'm like, this is perfect. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do on dates.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.